All right, we're live. Starting a new week, June 11th, 2023. The new Mostly In podcast.
Kind of in. Dipping a toe.
Did you guys like the thumbnail at all?
Yeah, I did. That was pretty sweet.
I was like,
If only our regular thumbnails were as good.
I was like,
it used to be good.
Yeah, the goal is that YouTube's like high quality algorithms are going to be like, oh, this thumbnail looks like the original thumbnail. And because they do that shit, bro. They'll recognize you have something in the back of your thumbnail and they'll like match it with their object tracking. And they'll just put it in front of some different people. And you never know.
Well, we'll see. It'll be a good test. It'll definitely be a good test. It's called gaming the algorithm 101.
Yeah, if anything, it just looks kind of cool having
it was funny. People laughing about it on Twitter.
All right, thank you everybody for being here. Quarantine Quartet, Aaron Gruber, Johnny, Technical Trader Wong, Owen, Duffer, Matt Money, Midwest, Miami Ren, David, Rob Minyard, George Rubio, Inbound. Thank you all for being here. We've got an exciting week coming up. We get CPI on Tuesday, and we get a Fed's decision on Wednesday. Chris, we can't hear you at all.
Chris, you're completely muted. That makes me wonder if he was talking before.
Yeah, I think
we didn't hear him at all. I was like, he's unusually quiet today. Mm-hmm. Oh man,
yes, he has something to say, but we don't know. Now we can talk as much shit as we want.
As much shit as we want. He's saying just keep going. All right, Brooke Chen asked, "Hi guys, how's your weekend going?" Pretty good.
Yeah, let's talk about our weekends until Chris gets on.
I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter. I went to the Tesla. What is it called? The Tesla owners of Santa Clarita did an event at a Tesla. It's not a dealership. It's like a showroom. And they were doing drives for people in Model S's and X plaids for people. And it was like a brunch for owners. It was pretty cool. I got to go meet some other plaid owners and just some other Tesla owners in general. It was really cool.
All right. Can you guys hear me now?
No, still can't hear you. I'm kidding.
Dude,
we just do that for the next hour. Like, it's like, what?
I've been on call this entire weekend. But usually I don't work on call. Like I have like one of my colleagues is in Ecuador for a vacation. So I was like, so my boss asked me, hey, can you take call this week? And I said, sure. I'm thinking it's probably gonna be a quiet weekend. There's no updates, there's no downtimes, nothing. Let me tell you, I'm getting the most random calls, but the one that takes the cake is I get a call and the service desk is like, hey, I have a question for you. The CT machine at this hospital, there's smoke coming out of it. Is that IT or is that biomed? And I was just like,
that's what? Fire department.
Like, I was literally like, I was shocked. I was like, what? Like, huh? You're calling me at 2 a.m. because you think that smoke coming out of the machine is IT issue? And I was just like, dumbfounded.
Have you tried restarting
It took me like 15 seconds. My wife, I was in bed with the wife. I got out. I was just like looking at myself. I was just like, man, we really need AI. Like, we really fucking need AI over here. But
or like it doesn't take an AI to know there's probably something.
Yeah. So eventually, I was like, no, just call biomed. Let them deal with it, and probably call the fire department as well while you're at it. So yeah, good times, man. Sometimes I'm dumbfounded by the stuff that I get called on call for. Other stuff is like legitimate stuff when there's actual like stuff going on. But man, sometimes the questions are just like, oh, one of the staff members is late. What do I do? I'm like, you're calling IT to figure out why staff are late. Just common sense here, I think my dad usually says, not my clown, not my circus, but whatever. That's what my life has been like for the last 2 days, just answering dumb questions pretty much.
I was like, we just think IT has all the answers, but that's usually not the case.
So is that mostly what you do? Like you handle like IT, but what's the equipment that you're handling this?
Yeah, so I deal with primarily like radiology information systems. So there's multiple software products that my hospital corporation uses, and I basically support end users in implementing stuff and consulting and then troubleshooting if something goes wrong at the network level. I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit of granular access to, granular like granular access controls. I know I've been smiling right now. Sometimes you have to
Everybody
be a little
knows
bit more.
what the fuck that is. Yo, if you didn't know ontology before, if you were watching that debate and you were a Palantir investor and you didn't know what the fuck ontology, you started looking that shit up right away.
This,
I better know this.
what typically happens is if you work in any IT job, most of the time you just get called and say, hey, this isn't working. And then your job is you're basically Dora the Explorer and you have to find out what's going on, whether it's an issue with either the network, is it the issue with the software product, is it issue with one of the servers? Like a couple of weekends ago, I got an alert on my, because we have ServiceNow and I get an alert anytime. So one of the sensors and the temperature in one of the closets at a hospital was going off. So it turns out that the air conditioning in the server room was for some reason went out. And so the entire server room was like up to like 110 degrees. And
that's no good.
Literally it's like contacting the local people there to, you know, shut the server down, move over services to another server so that this way you're not, this way basically you don't set the hospital on fire. And what's cool is you can do a lot of the stuff remotely. And yeah, it's nice. I've been working from home. I do miss like working with my friends and hanging out like on site at the hospital and working directly with end users sometimes. But you know, being remote is not bad.
Trade-offs, right? Well, the question everybody wants to know is how does that affect my Tesla stock?
I don't know. I mean,
how does that affect like 10 days in a row just printing cash? So what's funny is it, I made you picked the wrong time to sell it.
No, I didn't. You guys are I honestly I laugh at what you guys are talking about on Twitter because it's so hilarious to me that you guys think because you're so obsessed with Tesla's growth trajectory that like that was the right move or that was the wrong move. It's like it's hilarious assessing someone else's personal finance situation, but like, because Tesla's the best thing in the world, you fucked up selling Tesla. Like it's really laughable to be honest, but I let you guys laugh because it's funny. You guys are in the little Tesla cult.
Okay, then we shall see how the week plays out then, sir. Shall we not?
No, but the week could play out like shit. Like the Fed could not raise rates, or the Fed could raise rates, but the market might have already priced it in. The week could fall to shit. I am very comfortable with my portfolio right now because I understand where it's going. I'm not comfortable holding Tesla at 250 at my 240 average, being up $10 a share, hoping it gets to 600-700 by 2025. In order to get the same return I would get on some of my other positions. I just don't feel comfortable about that.
We will see.
You think it's gonna be a $2 trillion company by 2025?
By 2025? No.
Okay,
so then it'll be 3 trillion. But okay, we're gonna get back into this. We're gonna get back into this. But you're trading and you're chasing, and if it turns on you, you'll bail on that. You'll bail on that trade in 2 seconds.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the same with Tesla. Tesla could turn on you as well. And then
but you wouldn't. But my whole point with the whole thing was that you wouldn't bail on Tesla because it's a long-term play versus a short-term a trade on stock price.
That's fair. Then it just depends on personal situations, right? Where do you want
to I think your personal situation involves being rich.
Not on 20 Tesla shares. Not on 20 Tesla shares.
All
right. So, he came in right on time. Vitaly, what's up?
Yeah, it was like,
how was your weekend?
Busy. Pretty busy.
Move Vitaly up, man, to where his spot is. There you go.
Did you go to Cheesecake Factory again?
No, I didn't go to Cheesecake Factory. I had to rent out a unit, so I spent all of Saturday doing that, and Sunday there was other things to do like leases and other so-called paperwork.
I was telling them before we got on the podcast, I was out there with the kid on the swing, and I'm looking into like the next door neighbors, like where the trees are, and I'm seeing all these eyeballs staring at me, dude. I have like a family of like 5 raccoons in there, massive. And like, they're not supposed to come out in the daytime. They're just not. From what I understand, if they come out in the daytime, they're sick. And so now I had like 5 of them running around the backyard. It's no joke. So that was a bit of a scare.
You need an exterminator.
Yeah, no, I need a flamethrower.
To open up a little.
Are you drinking on the podcast? Wow.
Everyone's drinking.
That's a wine cooler. That's a wine cooler. He'll be drunk.
No, dude. I told you about this already. This is 7%. This will get you messed up pretty fast.
Chris is drinking too. I'm drinking. Mine's is water, but it's
Why you guys
I'm drinking
on a Sunday.
I'm drinking a combination of a Red Bull and Topo Chico water. Love Topo Chico.
Wait, you put a Red Bull in water?
Huh? No. I'm saying, dude, I have both. I have my Red Bull right here and my Topo Chico right here because I'm gonna be up.
I'm drinking water
today
with a little bit of the AG1. Honestly, the shit actually works. If you guys,
let us know what you're drinking while you're watching the podcast. I'm sure some people are drinking something, so let us know in the chat what you guys. I'm smoking and
Yo,
drinking
dude,
because I own Tesla.
Liquid Death, come on, sponsor
Cheers.
us, bro.
Liquid
Help us out.
I think these
Sponsor
guys should
us.
sponsor us. I brought them up like 6 times already.
What is it called?
Mm.
Vodka lemonade?
It's a dogfish
Dogfish?
head,
Yeah.
Dogfish.
vodka lemonade, strawberry and honeyberry. It's delicious, and I wish they do sponsor us. I would. I'm drinking it anyway, so might as well.
Alec Carter says, "What's good, boys? I'm 9 minutes late." That's perfect because we're basically
We can
just
start.
at
Yeah,
the
now we
point.
can start.
Yeah.
All right, this is gonna be a big week for the stock market. The Fed has to make a decision. We get CPI. Let's start out with you, Vitaly. What do you think the Fed is gonna do this week? They're gonna raise or they're gonna hike?
I bet you they're gonna pause. Who wants to take a gentleman's bet?
Or why do you think they're gonna pause?
Actually, I don't know, but I do think they're gonna pause. I think they did their job.
I think so too.
Isn't it done? I mean, like, so I feel the job is done. If they're gonna raise, then they're just being assholes. So
The Fed is asshole. Okay, Carlos, what do you think they're gonna do?
I think that we'll see a pause actually as well too. I'm gonna send you a pretty good video. I posted this. I'm gonna see if I can cue it up, or maybe I'll just play it. It was Mr. Wonderful. I don't know if you guys saw. I posted on Twitter. Mr. Wonderful was saying that he would fire the CEO of Coinbase if he worked for him. He said he's absolutely running the company to the ground. But as the conversation progressed, it turned into a conversation about rates and what was going to happen this week. And he had actually a really good take on it. He was actually praising Jerome Powell, believe it or not. He was praising him. And I thought it would be a good perspective since we are going to be talking about rates. So I'll cue it up and then I'll send you a link in the chat.
Okay, Chris, you think we're getting a pause or we're getting a rate hike?
So
They hike on Monday. On Friday.
So since the other two co-hosts have already said that they're going to pause, I'm gonna have to take the other side of that and say they'll probably raise, but I'm gonna try to apply some logic to it. Even though CPI, which is great that it's going down, core PCE, which is the metric that the Fed usually goes by, is still kind of sticky, right? So because of that, they may just err on the side of caution and be like, look, even though we're headed in the right direction, we don't want to give the market a chance to let up and inflation to reaccelerate. So regardless of how this impacts the economy, we're gonna take the prudent step and actually go for another rise. The economy is holding up relatively well, which is bad, because if the economy is doing well, there's no need to pause, right? If we had a lot of unemployment starting to creep up into the market, we started to see,
That's a good point.
a lot of asset prices coming down significantly, then we'd have a problem. Just because CPI year over year is down materially doesn't mean that core PCE is also. So I'd say that core PCE, which is actually the more important metric, is not down, which means that the Fed will likely raise 25, but it's either going to be one of two things. Either they'll pause and have very dovish comments, or they'll raise. Either they'll pause and have very hawkish comments, or they're going to raise and have very dovish comments. So it's going to be like trying to take the stink out of whatever decision they end up making. But overall, I think the markets are still in a relatively good position, and we may actually get a soft landing like everyone is talking about. The consumer is still relatively healthy. Jobs are plentiful everywhere. The only thing that I think is worrisome is just housing unaffordability, right? Like, more people need to be able to afford homes,
And you need
Did I tell you how easy it was to rent out the unit that I just had? Were you following the Discord at all? But I've been posting basically a little bit, Carlos as well, of the process I've been going through renting my unit. And in terms of Jersey City, and like I said, those areas, I'm not talking about the middle of the country. I have no idea. But those areas, like the amount of people moving and trying to get rentals is insane. I was inundated. I did it all in one day. It's unusual to do everything in one day. Just straight through from 11 a.m. to 4 o'clock or so.
You're renting out a bedroom? What's the details on it?
Oh, I could give you. It's 3-bedroom, 1 bath. It is renovated, but it's not a new apartment, meaning it's not not everything is modern. It just has like a nice aesthetic. There's a nice backyard.
How much are you charging?
$2,650.
It's like, bro, I needed that. My lease is expiring soon.
He's
I
like,
gotta move out.
is there anything in the lease against putting up a brick wall?
Actually, it has a real brick wall.
That's all you need, legit.
This is real. I don't know why you guys.
This is a legit brick wall. But I'm saying the number
look at
of
the
people
scene behind Audiev. You look at where the two sheets of paper blend together.
Yeah, you say,
Not
see,
paper, it's sticker.
I think Chris thinks that there is some sort of housing thing going on that's not happening right now. People are happily buying real estate. People are happily moving, and they're paying more for the rentals in the good areas. Once again, I'm prefacing this with like New York, New Jersey, maybe Florida. I think is kind of hot. Texas is hot. Dude, that's a cheap 3-bedroom. I agree. I should have raised the price because immediately, I had 7 applications. I saw 15.
No one is happily doing it. They're doing it because they're desperate. Like, dude, if I could get the same.
We're not desperate.
Thing,
These no. These people are not desperate. The income these people have is actually kind of shocking to me. That's people are doing so well. So I don't know. Recession, sure. I mean, I actually rented during the recession, like different apartments. It's harder. This is not that. I'm not in that period. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe it is a recession for some, but not for others.
I think Jersey City itself is still developing,
and I'm not a slumlord. Okay,
there's plenty. There's probably a lot. There's also probably a lot of people moving back to the Northeast. Like, I know one of the things that happened during COVID was a lot of people moved out of the Northeast, like New Jersey, New York area, Connecticut area. But I've seen a rapid growth back in the city again. Like, people are starting to come back to the city. I guess, they thought, hey, maybe I could move out to like some burb and work remotely, but a lot of new jobs that are coming on right now, they're very specific, saying, no, we do not allow remote work. And the companies that had remote work now, at least to a certain degree, are doing minimum hybrid. So if they're doing hybrid, that means that you can't live somewhere far away. You need to live somewhat close to where the jobs are, So I think that may be the actual.
They're the most screwed because they probably left an apartment at cheaper rent. Now they did, they bought it. It's like selling out. They sold out of the stock and now they're buying back in at a higher price because they have to come back in now at a higher price. And they don't have that, that track record with the landlord. They're starting over.
Yeah. Let me ask a question, Chris. Do you think, given the current housing situation that we're in, do you think the Fed should raise or pause to make that situation better?
I think this is the one time in history where cutting is actually what's necessary in order for housing to come back to affordability, because the problems that we're seeing right now are the people that have homes. Some of them want to sell. Okay. Like, no one wants to have them forever. Like, some people need to sell. The problem is, if they sell their apartment or house, then the next one that they buy, they end up having to pay 7-8% mortgage or interest on it. So if you're paying 3% right now on a mortgage, you're not going to give up that 3% rate to buy a 7% rate home, right? Even if you want to upgrade, downgrade, whatever. So a lot of people are staying put, which means inventory is completely out of whack. Inventory is super low. So by cutting rates, you're actually giving people more incentive to actually sell and buy other things. The housing market, just like any other market, is very dynamic, where you need to have people buying and selling. You can't just have a situation where one side has all the leverage and the other side has none. Yeah. So right now, the housing market, in my opinion, is a little bit frozen. You kind of want to thaw it a little bit. So when you start to see those rate decreases, you're actually going to see more houses appear on the market and more people willing to buy houses, right? And so you're going to have this kind of unwinding of the housing market. And I wonder how many buyers are probably going to end up FOMOing and be like, maybe I should stop. Maybe I should hold off. Maybe I should hold off until it gets cheaper. Maybe I should hold off until it gets cheaper. And then you get this whole super cycle of asset declines. I mean, that's just the theory.
The higher rates with a lot of inventory will force the prices to come down, which actually ends up being really good for the buyers, because in a few years they'll be able to refinance.
But there isn't a lot of inventory, isn't that the issue? There's not a lot of inventory.
I mean, I'm not seeing.
I've heard there's a lack of supply. That's what I've been hearing from everything I've heard.
I mean, so much of that is really local, right? Depending on where you are.
Yeah.
But out here, I haven't seen that at all. As a matter of fact, it's a little sad now, because we're really just coming out of like what the effect was of COVID. No, one buddy of mine, his wife quit her job. They're moving to Atlanta. I literally, before I came on the call today, I went over to a buddy of mine's house to pick up some stuff that he wanted to get rid of for his kid, like a little bicycle and some like a bookshelf and stuff. And he just texted me. He's like, "Yo, I got to move." And so I'm moving like next week. And I'm like, what happened? Well, he lives in a building. It was like I was renting out a unit, and the landlord ended up selling his unit for like $500 and something thousand. He was like, it was one of those offers he can't refuse. And he's like, this apartment is not worth that money. But it was just such a great deal. He took the money and gave him 60 days to move out. Now they're gone. They have to go back and live with like one of their parents. Wow. So I know like 4 friends of mine that are all moving. Everyone's in this process of moving again. And I'm like, why is everyone moving around? And they're all negative situations. They're all like for negative reasons or for reasons that like aren't, they found their dream home,
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
The one interesting thing is like it's very, very localized. Like someone put Tyson's Corner in Virginia. Like, so Tyson's Corner, I don't know if you guys know that area, but if you are a defense contractor or you work for the government, dude, that is like prime real estate area. Like most corporations have a location there. And even subcontractors, they all are located in that area. So if you have like a strong base of employment, those areas are just gangbusters. They're doing really well. New York City, that's one of the greatest things about New York, that there's so much diversity of opportunity in terms of jobs. It's there. Now, here's the thing. If you move to like Wichita, Kansas, you may not see as many jobs. So you may not see the housing prices that we do. So I think a lot of times when we talk about housing, or when a lot of people talk about housing, they're talking about housing in like city centers or close to city centers, and they completely like ignore the rest of the country, and that's just how I think over the last 30 years, that's just how like demographics have shifted a little bit, right? So younger generations like us, we value things that are more experience based, right? So more people are willing to live in a 1-bedroom like apartment in New York City and pay $3,000 rather than paying, $1,000 or $1,200 in Wichita, Kansas for an entire house. Like It's such a weird conundrum that's out there, but
I don't know about people. I've seen a lot of people moving to as far out as Pennsylvania. I would say I haven't seen people moving from New York to like Wichita, Kansas, but Pennsylvania is close enough where you could be back in the city if you want for a day. But it's far enough out that you do feel like you're in a bit of that middle America where you get acreage and you have seasons, you have lakes.
I plan on moving to somewhere way more like suburban in the future. Like right now, I'm currently employed. I have to work and everything else. But if my future is going to be anywhere, it's probably going to be in like the middle America, like living a good life and probably using as a base point to travel everywhere. Like I don't need to
hold on, Chris.
I can totally see you in a cowboy hat.
Let's roll it back
in a pickup truck.
Hold on. Let's roll it back 6 months. No, not 6 months. That's a month. You told us you're never going to quit. You love working.
I do, but I'm saying like work part-time, remotely, whatever. Like right now, the
junkies when he moves, that's going to be his only work. He's going to be able to.
That might.
He said he was never leaving his job because he loves his coworkers. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
I do.
And then he got to work from home. He said, "Fuck them, go."
Yo, real quick, Amit, play that video. Play that video.
No, Carlos, I'm gonna do that in the next segment because that's gonna transition us into crypto. Let me hit you guys.
No, it's not. That's not crypto. This is.
That's not crypto?
No, that is Mr. Wonderful talking about what he predicts is going to happen this week with the rate hikes.
Okay, I thought this.
They talked about a bunch of subjects, but it's queued up to the part where he talks about rate hikes. And I don't think we need to talk about crypto, but anyway.
We think about the other areas of the economy that many we've spoken with on a day in, day out basis. They are looking at the Fed and what the Fed's going to do from here and trying to telegraph Q3 2023 recession. How are you looking at that? How are you trading around that? How do you believe the Fed has done in terms of their own job?
I have to admit, and I've been a Fed watcher, I have to be for my whole career because I'm trying to figure out, like everybody else, what they're going to do with rates. This is an extraordinary situation. We may actually, and I say we as a market, may have actually engineered a soft landing. We have been waiting. This is the most highly anticipated recession that's never appeared. Number two, I think there'll be another 50 basis points of rate hikes to get us kind of into that 5.5 terminal rate, which means money will trade at sort of 7.5% in the best credits, all the way up to 15%. We've had great economies with rates like that in the past. And we are still at full employment. And here's the one challenge. The data hasn't changed on inflation. It's still north of 4%. So if you think the Fed's going to stop, I think you're nuts. They're going to keep going. Another 25 basis point, another 25 basis point after that. And for all the criticism that Powell's taken, he has been a master of guiding this ship to a slowdown that looks like it won't even be a deep recession. Right now, it looks like that. And as evidenced by new highs in the market. I mean, are you kidding? This guy should be given an Oscar. I mean, he's done a hell of a good job. And so, yeah, he'll get bashed every day, and that it's political and all the rest. But tell me what he's done wrong as evidenced by where the market is today.
That's a good point.
I mean, a really good, sound point.
That we might actually get into a soft landing, which
part of what he's saying is, remember, markets are a lot of it is psychological.
Yeah,
it's been so anticipated. Everyone is so anticipating this recession that it just may never come.
I forgot who said this. This was definitely on some sort of interview, but the fact that every company was getting prepared for a big recession means that they organize their books. Okay. Yeah. They put money aside. They fire the people they didn't need. They're not going to be in a recession. So earnings are going to be okay for them because they've turned the ship, or this massive ship, around because they've had a year to think about this.
Maybe that's the logic for a soft landing, because companies prepared for it. Earnings decline is what leads to like the market punishing stocks. And if they're ready because they positioned themselves for this recession, earnings are not like Facebook's not going to make $5 billion. They're going to make $30 billion next quarter. And
exactly.
So, well, markets do not like companies being reactive. They will respect them being proactive, right?
Correct.
And so, since like we were saying, they are basically got rid of all the fat, did everything that they would have done if a recession hit them by surprise, but did it early, and so now we might actually be okay.
Okay, so since we were talking about housing, let me hit you with this. I want Chris's thoughts on this and Vitaly, since I think you guys are really deep into real estate, but we haven't talked about this one in a while. What do you think about this bad boy? It's up 118% year over year. I mean, year to date.
Can you show the whole chart? Can you show that?
Down 78% from its highs. Is there anything to the Fed either raising or hiking that leads to upside for Opendoor Technologies? What are your thoughts, Vitaly? Let's go with you, then, Chris.
This is terrible for them if they keep raising, even at these high rates. I agree with at least Chris in terms of it's not easy for people to buy at 7%. Houses, so that part might slow down a bit, but no, this is not good for Opendoor. They need to go back to 3%.
I think they've been beaten up so badly that the iBuying starts to actually create momentum and margins on the property.
Maybe, but that's a year from now.
And only if the prices of the houses come down to offset the additional rates, then they're sitting pretty, because when they refinance later, once the rates do come down, they're sitting pretty.
So remember, their whole business is, if I want to sell my house, I have to sell it to somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
That somebody has to want to buy it for 7-8%. So if that's not happening in the same droves it was happening when it was 3%,
right?
How is their business going to do better? You have to wait the year, the 2 years until the rates start to drop again, and then they're probably going to do better if they're the only ones left standing, because Zillow's out of the game, so they're the only ones left.
But they also need to turn around and sell that property, no? Like
that's what I'm saying. There's two sides to this,
right? So it's like even if they're doing well on one side, they don't want to be landlord, and they don't want to hold those properties. They want to be a middleman and sell it to somebody else.
Well, they do hold it, so their business is to hold it and to flip it, and they're not renting it. So you're right, but there's a holding cost for
right.
Them.
I'm sure they want to keep that as like Zillow. They want to keep that within 30 freaking days.
Yeah,
and like I did. There was a point in 2019 where I almost moved to Vegas. And so I was talking with one of the companies that when I was buying my house, and they were basically saying the same thing. They were like, "Hey, we'll buy your home. All the money that we would do to renovate it, we'll build that into like our final cost. So it won't even cost you anything for what we consider as the renovations. We'll just pay that for us on the back end. We just want to get in there and flip it within the month. So they're only sitting on like say a month of the mortgage." Eventually I said no, obviously, but I could see how you could make good money, and with good rates, you could make good money.
As a side note, I wonder, how is Meet Kevin's real estate business doing? Does anyone know? Anyone follow that?
I think he got out of a lot of real estate stuff. I mean, the last time I saw a video about it, he basically is just piling up cash to buy when things go down. Like even Elon Musk had tweeted out that housing is the next thing to crash, so just as a FYI, that it's just one of those things that people are starting to anticipate. And I think sometimes when you anticipate
that
something,
happens.
yeah. I would say in regards to how this all plays out, I just don't know. Like this is one of those times where it's really hard to predict what's going to happen. Other times you can try to look at past history and say, okay, based on this happening, this is going to happen. Like how many people got burned this year looking at the inverted yield curve and just saying, oh, well, that has to be a recession and it has to be really bad because the yield curve has never been as inverted as it is today. And it's like, okay, let's see what happens. And every one of those people ended up getting really hurt by that thinking, you know. And I think right now there's still a lot of soft money that's sitting on the sidelines, sitting in money market accounts that could power the bull market going forward if things go the right way. So what's happening is a lot of people have been taking their money out of the market in anticipation of the recession, putting it into money market where you're getting like 4.5-5% return. So that's a lot of cash that's sitting on the sidelines. So if the Fed starts to cut interest rates, those money market accounts are not going to still give you a 5% return. They're going to give you 4, and then they'll give you 3, and then they'll give you 2, and then they'll give you 1. So they're going to say, hey, wait, I can't live on a 2% yield. I need to go and start buying stocks again, and that could power the bull market going forward.
Is there any logic to Opendoor stock being a buy right now at all?
No, there's still a lot of zombie companies out there that need to work their way out of the system, and that's the problem, that these zombie companies have been able to survive for so long thanks to cheap credit and cheap money. But overall, the number of bankruptcies has gone up significantly. So, you know, like look at DNA.
Opendoor survives.
I don't think so. I think these short-term bouts of encouragement are happening, but I don't think over the long term they survive. Same thing with like Carvana, but at least with Carvana, they had a successful business model before they ended up over expanding themselves. So I think you have to be very specific on these companies that have fallen 90% and might recover past that to be like the Amazons of the 2000s, right? I think a lot of people are hoping that Opendoor one day becomes the 20x or whatever, but I'd say that the chances of that happening are a lot less than just buying other companies out there right now. So,
but am I crazy? I was reading something that like foreclosures are at an all-time low. Defaults on personal loans are at an all-time low. Defaults on business loans are at an all-time low.
The jobs of the economy right now and the jobs market is just amazing right now. So people who need a job can have a job. They can do it. Like if you get into debt, you can work 2 jobs, pay off your debt, right? The hardest thing is jobs. Like if the job market tanks, then the rest of the stuff is going to tank with it. Housing, because people can't afford to pay, so housing goes down. Then you have personal loans, delinquencies start to go crazy. Businesses, because people are not spending money, right? If you don't have a job, you're not spending money, which means earnings for those tertiary businesses, those start to go down. So it's a lot of this is dependent on the job market. If the job market tanks, then the rest of the economy is going to go down really quick. But the job market is holding up. It's steady. It's actually doing very well.
It depends how long the rates stay high. This is really the main thing. So even if they raise a quarter or half, whatever, let's say that Kevin O'Leary is correct. The issue is how long do they hold it? If they raise it now and they raise it the next meeting, so when is that? When is the next meeting, by the way? Anyone?
For 4 months, right?
On Wednesday.
No, he's saying after this one. After this one.
I'll check. Actually,
it's every month, isn't it? I thought it was every month.
I think
so. Let's say a month from now, 2 months from now, they raise again. Basically, after that, it's over. They're not going to do it again.
July 27th.
Right. So by August, we know there's a pause, right?
Yeah.
This is what we're saying. So we know at the end of the year that everything is going to that the ship is going to be turning around. So I don't think it matters if they raise or not. I think the pause is coming. It's imminent. And I think the market is pricing that all in. And every company's ready for it. So it doesn't even matter.
Okay.
Every company that matters to us, at least.
Do you guys think inflation actually gets down to below 3% by the end of the year?
Yeah, it's almost guaranteed at this point.
I never believe that statistics. I don't know if you ever heard Ron Barron speak, but he says basically real inflation is 5-6%. So if Ron Barron is saying that, I believe him over the CPI numbers or anything like that. What we can say is 3% is sure, but I bet you inflation is closer to 5, 6, 7%.
It definitely feels like it when we're buying groceries and stuff. So
I just mean in general.
Yeah, by the time it hits you,
right?
So
people gouge on top of that, right?
So what we're looking at here is corporate bankruptcies throughout the U.S. And you can see here in terms of corporate bankruptcies for 2023, they're actually relatively high. They're going all the way back to like 2010 levels when the economy was a lot more sour. But that's because there's a lot more zombie companies out there, like the SPACs, Like I'm sure, like I would say about 9 out of 10 SPACs are going to be bankrupt within the next couple of years, right? The business models just didn't work. A lot of people were just getting in without, a lot of crypto companies are going to take a hit. But you can see here, based on this, like almost 236 bankruptcies year to date, corporate bankruptcies have already been filed. And at the rate that this is probably going to be projected towards, it might end up being somewhere around 1,000 corporate bankruptcies, which is a lot, like a lot for corporate bankruptcies are a lot. So, so yeah, we just, you know, I wonder where all those jobs are going to end up going. I think there might be a transition from white collar to blue collar, because right now the demands for jobs is not in white collar jobs. It's in service related, blue collar,
trades.
And that's the trades jobs. Like a lot of people have been shunning trades jobs for the last 10 years, which is dumb. Like I'm sure that there's going to be a lot more people going from learn to code to learn to weld. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter.
That's funny.
Bro.
I have been talking to the landscaper. He says he still can't get enough people. So absolutely, that there is not enough of these people who want to do those jobs.
I think and I just put the StreamYard link for anyone who wants to join. We can start getting it queued up. I think over the next 10 years, given what we're seeing with AI, one of the only skills that's going to matter online is your ability to storytell and communicate. Like that's the one. No, that's
he always brings it home to himself.
No,
replicated.
That doesn't make money, dude.
What are you talking about? It doesn't make money. Have you seen Meet Kevin's YouTube checks? That makes a lot of money.
One guy.
No, but that's not the total picture of the money that you make.
Do you know how many people on the internet are making $5-6 grand a month, which is like,
but you're only seeing the successful people, dude.
No. I'm talking about basic people that have figured out how to sell like a little course or a digital offering. They built a little audience. My point is, cutting through the noise will always be valuable, and it is the only thing that will be valuable if everything else is commoditized. When I mean only, I don't mean to be hyperbolic and like content creation is the only thing. What I mean to say is, on the internet, if AI can do so many different things, then your ability to stand out on these platforms and grab an audience, it's incredibly valuable. It's going to be more valuable because brands, advertisers, etc., they're going to need more people that actually have an audience that's authentic to them.
So I have a very interesting question that I've been plaguing my brain for the last like few weeks, and that was just the sheer cost of car ownership, ICE versus electric. But what does that mean for inflation for the general public? Because the cost of ICE is going down. I mean, the cost of EV is going down so much, but all of that money that now is not being spent on gas, spent on refining, spent on oil changes and everything else, where does all that money go? Like, I understand that some of it's going to go to like electricity providers because, you know, you're going to charge your car and all that good stuff. But, you know, there's a huge part of the economy that runs on ONG. What happens to that? Like, I know it's still like 10 years out, but what about today? You know, like EVs right now from an operating cost perspective are much lower. So if more cars, like let's say next, like believe it or not, in 5 years, I see probably 10 to 20 million car sales of EVs in the United States, which means the demand for oil and like petroleum and gasoline is going to go down significantly. All that money usually goes into these concentrated bets into the oil and natural gas sector and probably to some foreign countries as well. Imagine all of that money instead getting redeployed into the United States. Does that cause inflation or does that cause deflation because now people have more money to spend at home, you know, on things? Also, the cost of transporting things, which is almost like I think about 5 to 25% of the total cost of a product or a service is usually in logistics. If logistics costs drop significantly, what does that mean for total productivity of a company? Does that mean that they get to save a shit ton of money, which means that creates another level of profitability that goes up? I mean, imagine right now a fleet of EVs versus a fleet of ICE vehicles.
Do you think EVs are going to be deflationary over the next year and a half?
I don't know. That's the question. Are EVs inflationary or deflationary?
Carlos, you're muted.
Yeah.
Anytime companies can reduce the costs, they will. And what'll eventually happen is once they squeeze that as much as they can, then a price war starts, right? Then someone starts to lower and eat into those margins until we eventually get erased out to the bottom, and there becomes a new buoy point or a new price point for that product. But in the beginning, it's going to be business as usual. Companies are going to be selling exactly the same, charging customers exactly the same, but they're just going to be making more money. And at a certain point, when someone gets wind to it or a new startup comes in, they'll use that savings to offer customers a cheaper price, and eventually it trickles down. It happens with everything, but it takes a long time to play out that you might not necessarily attribute it to that right away. It takes so long to play out for those things, quarters and quarters and quarters and years.
This is probably a good time to mention that we have a special guest coming on tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, to talk a lot more about EVs. His name is Farzad Mesbahi. I think that's how you say it. So Farzad will be on the channel, first time on Finance Junkies, and it's going to be a Tesla episode. It's going to be Tesla.
And you know now. Yeah.
Discussing Tesla. So,
Well, this is awesome. Everybody join us tomorrow. So me and Carlos will gloat that we bought Tesla, as Mitt explains how he has sold out of Tesla and bought.
Oh yeah, he's gonna have to answer that.
I don't want to talk about that. I want Farzad to explain us like how it becomes a $10 trillion company.
Sure, we start there and then we lead to the other thing. That's how it works. That's fine.
Play that short that I sent you real
hold
quick.
on. Before we gotta get off this car thing, I'm just looking up the cars. So to your point, Chris, this is right now currently 1.446 billion cars out there in the world. So I think before EVs, I know they're 5% of sales, but to make a real dent in the actual car market, like meaning the ones that are running there, we have a 20-year like span that cars are going to be fine, mechanics are going to be there. Like I don't think those people are going away for a very long time. So and then their roles will change, of course, because we know what the EV roles are changing. But just because we're 5% right now penetration does not mean we're 100%, and it doesn't mean all those other cars don't need service.
And it also doesn't mean that that money or those jobs have to go anywhere. They can just go away. Like there's a certain point where we didn't need blacksmiths anymore, right? We didn't need shoemakers anymore. We just didn't need those people. We didn't need windmill makers or whatever it is. You just don't need those people anymore. That job is replaced. It's the same. That's what people are talking about with AI, right? AI is going to replace jobs that are never coming back. That's sort of the march of technology. And it's going to be the same thing eventually. Like plumbers and electricians will not go away, but a guy that can do oil changes, a guy that changes,
the reason why I bring this up is because, I'm sure a lot of our viewers are early in their life cycle in their 20s and stuff. So the question is, if you work in an industry that is going to be disrupted in the next 5, 10, 15 years, would it be smart of you to actually start to pivot right now? And I think it's a good idea to look into some other industries that are adjacent to yours that could work out well. Like I said, like if you told me, Chris, you can go back 15 years and you could do another job, like figure out what to do, I would say I'd probably be a locksmith. Like one of my friends who's a locksmith, dude, he makes a freaking killing, man. And all he does is just literally this. He's on call. He goes to places. He fixes, he installs locks and does that. And on the side, he runs like a locksmith school. He's always trying to get me to join him too. He's like, Chris, you could do locksmithing. It's not that hard, man. I could teach you how to do it. And I'm like,
or elevator repair guys.
Elevator repair.
Chris follows his careers like his trades, apparently.
No, I'm not, dude. I'm sold in my career. I'm happy with my career. But
I heard about this locksmithing thing.
but the thing with my job right now is that I'm pigeonholed into an industry that's very niched out. So which means that like if I had to find another job in a specific area, I'd have to move to that area and do all this stuff. Yeah. Whereas for a locksmith, like let's say you wanted to move to Hawaii, you could find a job as a locksmith in Hawaii. You want to move to Kansas, you can find a job as a locksmith.
You go to Hawaii right now. Right now. If you want to make a buck ton of money,
AC repair.
No, not even. Go to Hawaii and start an actual car service, an actual Uber service. Uber is
OnlyFans.
Well, that's a good side hustle to get started. But seriously, the idea of like island time is true. And when we were out in Hawaii, it was impossible to get an Uber. You would get the Uber, it would say 35 minutes to get to you, and then 15 minutes later, the guy would cancel it. And this happened over and over. And I started asking the people like at the hotels, I was like, why does that keep happening? They're like, because nobody wants to work. They're like, they literally just don't want to work.
1 year anniversary. Let's fucking do it. Let's do a trip, like a joint trip to Hawaii. Let's do a fucking live trip, dude. Me and the wife went. Yeah.
The point of the story is there was one woman. There was a woman who basically was the island's Uber. She had like 2 or 3 people that worked for her. She had a pickup truck and she had like a business card, and she'd go and give out the card, and everyone was like, just call her, and she would just come pick you up. This woman was making bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could undercut her though.
Speaking of vacation spots, where would you guys want to go? Like, let's say we did a joint trip. Where should we go for vacation?
I don't want to go to Vegas, bro. Fuck Vegas. I hate Vegas.
Fuck you too, Amit. I love Vegas.
Vegas sucks, bro. I just feel icky.
That's because you didn't go with the right people, bro. If you go with the right people, Vegas can be fucking amazing.
That's
man.
true.
Me and the wife go every year. We have.
He's like, I didn't enjoy the mom and dad trip in Vegas.
Where would I want to go? Wait, are we going with the family?
Yeah.
No, we can't take them. We can't take them.
No, because it's a different ball game. If we're not taking the family, then we're going on a private jet, or we're taking a blade. We're getting a helicopter.
Printing finance junkies on that. Man, that'd be crazy, bro. Finance junkies trip to Vegas and just like vlog the whole thing. That'd be awesome.
It would be insane. One of us would not make
live
it back.
every night.
In the comments, who would not make it back from the Vegas trip?
Carlos not making it back.
Oh, no, dude, I'm terrible.
I've heard you drunk like once. I don't remember when, but I think I did. And yeah, you're not making it back.
Should I show you guys a picture of the golden?
Hold
Hold on.
Upside down.
No, I think I remember this picture. This is when you were passed out.
What's FS? What is FS? Is that full service?
Fuck's sake.
Did you know that, Vitaly? You knew that.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's usually FFS.
Yes.
Yeah, it's usually FFS. That is true. Do you guys play blackjack or craps? What do you play?
Spanish.
I like craps.
Spanish.
Yeah, me too. Craps guy.
Spanish 21. And not black. The craps is okay. Craps is pretty cool. I know. I mean, and I've seen people that have made good money on it, but my game is roulette. I can spend the whole night on a roulette table, man.
The digital one or the actual?
No, the actual one. Did I tell you? I told you some of my stories, right? I told you the story about the 7 blacks.
No, you got 7 blacks in a row.
No. I'll tell you a quick story. This was insane, and this actually happened. So I went to Vegas one time, and I had this thing where I won't sit at a table until I see like say 4 or 5 like blacks or reds in a row. So I went to this table. It was at Caesar's Palace, and I saw 5 blacks in a row. So I went in on the table.
Can you just clip that and put it on Twitter?
No. Out of context. Okay, but here's the caveat to it. Okay, there was a point when my brother and I had made it a point where we wanted to have everything that we did in Vegas from then on comp. I wanted tickets to everything. I wanted my hotel room comp. And there's a way that you can game it in Vegas where basically if you're betting a lot of money, they're going to just give you comps. And the pit bosses are always watching the tables. They're watching what's happening, and they know who's betting what, and they talk to the dealers, and you can see them as they go around, and they're kind of looking at the table, and they check in on you. So if you know how to place your bets and you know how to move money around from table to table, you can actually look like you're spending a lot more money than you actually are. And then slowly the comps come. You'll get your bill for the hotel, and it's zero. You get tickets in the mail. They offer you free rooms. Anyway, so our point of going there was to do this. So I had to go and start making some big bets. So I went, and I saw a table. There was 5 blacks in a row, and I said, all right, I'm going to go sit down, and I'm just going to start betting on red. So I bet on the outside, put $100 on the outside, bet red, comes out black, right? So I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? I got to double down on this. So I put down 200 on red, black. So I'm like, oh shit. At this time, the dealer, people are watching, they're like, yo, man, you should just take it and go. I was like, nah, man, put $400 on red, comes out black. So now the freaking tree is like all black, and the dealer's just like, why don't you just bet black? You know,
it's called the martingale. Yeah.
I'm like, well, because it's gotta go red some points. I put whatever. I'm at 400, so I put $800, right? So that's 800. So now think about how much I'm in. 800, 400, 200. I'm in a lot of money. $800 on red, and people at this point like just stop betting in the game. Dude, it hits black again. The dealer is like, please just bet black. And so she was going to roll again. I was like, don't you dare roll again. I'll be right back. So I go back. I get more money. $1,600 on red. So think about
and if it gets red, you make all your money back, basically.
But I basically break.
He doesn't win anything.
I win almost nothing.
Okay.
Because I've doubled down so much that I'm basically just doubling down, trying to win it back. $1,600. I'm on red right now. And so it comes out black. Okay. So now I spent a lot of money, and the dealer, the guy, the chick that was in front of the table was like shaking. She's like, please just stop. And people are telling me, dude, just walk away, just walk away. I was like, no, get the pit boss over here. So the pit boss comes over. Now, the legal amount that the maximum you can bet on the outside is $3,000. But I told the pit boss, I was like, yo, I need to make a $3,200 bet on the outside right now. And she was like, oh my God. So, yo, everybody, like everyone stopped. And I said, I'm putting $3,200 on red. Okay. Yo, everybody stopped. My heart's pounding out of my chest. I ordered a drink, obviously. I just drank. I put the money down and I turn around. I don't even look at the table. I just put the turn around. Now, what do you
I'm at
guys think
600.
What do you think happened?
You fucking won, bro. Red. Let's go. Let's go.
Fucking red.
So you broke.
Finally.
He broke
Finally.
even. The end of the story is you broke
smashed
even.
it. No, I smashed it. But I mean, I got all my money back, of course. But still, that was
That's the right way to do it, right? Because if you
That's
went home, you would feel like shit knowing you lost all your money.
because here's what would have happened. If I would have walked away from the table, they're gonna spin the thing anyway.
And yes, and it's gonna go
And
red.
It would have been, yeah. I have another one. I have another story where
be able to wait until you get to that moment. Because if
Say
as long as
again?
you have cash, you can keep doing it, keep doubling down, and eventually break even.
eventually.
No.
right,
But they stop. But they
No.
stop you. That's why they have table limits.
That's
You
why they
can't-
have a limit
yeah.
at $3,000 because I
Oh.
doubled down so many times that if I played the max amount at $3,000, I would have actually given the house $100.
Yeah.
Ah.
So I had to bet more than the maximum because I had to double down the last bet, which was 1,600. And they didn't let me. Plus, I could have also, you could also get double zeros. People forget about that. There's 35 slots on the table. There's 35 numbers on the roulette table, but there's 37 slots. You can get a zero or double zero. And those things always come out and bite you. So even if you're betting red and black, you can still get that double zero, you know? So there's this, anyway, there's a whole, yeah, I have,
So-
dude. Armal, I have.
My I went to Vegas for my bachelor party. And
Oh, man.
dude, we had a fucking amazing time. The one night that we were like really gonna go ham, we went to the Golden Nugget. And the thing is, though, me being a dumbass, I drank way too much. I made it up to here. That's me. And the
What?
Golden Nugget
You
bathroom.
shitting right there?
Yeah, I threw up. Like that's literally me, and
Oh
I
my
ended up
God.
going to sleep. I'm not gonna tell you the story behind that glow stick because that shit would embarrass my. That would leave like a legacy of shame to like generations of
And
Chris's.
the secret is that's not a glow stick. If you guys know,
Carlos.
that's no.
So that was just when I go ham, I go ham. Like I can tell you right now, I'll probably end up being the first guy. Like I'm a lot more measured and tempered right now with the way I am. But man,
Bro, I
had a
don't
great
drink,
time.
but if I would get drunk, it would be with you guys. That would be the fun time. Like I drink in college, obviously, but I don't drink anymore.
Ahad knows what he's talking about.
Oh, hard. No, I went
That's
there. I
right.
mean, I've seen some shit. I went there one time and I saw this. It was a Vietnamese guy. He went in there. He had like sandals on.
Guys, you
ripped-
never heard what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? You never heard that?
Yeah, I heard
It's
it.
all
but,
good,
I'm
man.
just saying.
It's all good.
Anyway, no, this dude. You think I'm crazy? I've seen just so much shit. I saw this one guy. He was so freaking rich. He had an envelope. It was like this. I'm not even kidding. This fucking fat of hundreds. He had just so much money, and he was just like scumbaggiest looking guy ever. And like halfway through your plan, you think this guy's just like a complete like loser. The hottest chick you've ever seen came over to him, and she's like, "I'm out of money." And he's like, "You spend $5,000 or whatever. You just 5 minutes ago." And like he just throws her some money and says, "Get out of here, and I don't want to see you for the rest of the night." And then he like turns and keeps on talking to us. And I'm like, man, Vegas you have exposure to everyone.
Dude, I was there with my wife because now we have like an annual trip that we go to Vegas. And one of the things she turns to me and says, "Man, there seems to be this. I wonder if there's like a convention for like daddies and daughters here this weekend." And I was just like,
Like that's
yeah, that's not daddies and daughters. Nope. It's
So
just a
because
lot
that's
of
the
sugar
Sugar
daddies.
daddies. Sugar daddies.
Yep.
and
Carlos,
daughters.
a lot of
When you were
sugar
younger
daddies.
And you went to Vegas like in your 20s. Did you ever go as a single guy and end up meeting someone there of the opposite sex? Did that ever happen in Vegas?
Wait, in 20s?
Stop trying to get Carlos in trouble. What's wrong with you? We're
I'm
not.
just-
Listen,
I'm serious.
Carlos,
He's
don't answer
fine.
that.
No,
Don't
it's
answer
fine.
that.
Talk about Vegas. You randomly meet people and stuff like that.
I did. Yeah. When I was in college, we took a trip out there to actually shoot a film. And I had a lot of fun on that trip. I had a lot of fun on it, but I was maybe 23. And so, yeah, Met some people, had a good time. It's funny because some of the most fun that I've had is not necessarily me even meeting people like at the casinos. Like I had a great time with some folks that I met at one of Jeremy's stock picks. I went to Planet 13, which is an amazing, it's like the fucking B&H photo of marijuana. It is insane. And I just met some people hanging out outside. I was waiting for an Uber and they're like, fuck it, why don't you just come with us? And ended up hanging out with them the whole night. These two chicks. It was good. There's a lot of fun I've had out there. The best thing to do, honestly, if you want to have a good time in Vegas, and I don't know if people in the chat will agree with me, go to Vegas on your birthday. Go to Vegas on your birthday where you have your ID and you can show people you got your ID, what you get, anything. Go anywhere and just show them it's your birthday. You will get the star treatment. You'll have a lot of fun in Vegas.
So tying this back to investing, believe it or not, I learned a lot of investing habits because of Vegas.
Here we go, dude.
I know that sounds. I know that sounds.
Tie it back to Weight Watchers and
no. Let me hold on. Let me explain. One of the key concepts I learned in Vegas that actually has helped me investing is
double down.
No.
Capital allocation. Well,
one is capital. The two main things that I learned are, number one, you should always bet on things that are low in risk but high in reward. Okay. Now, one of the things in Vegas that you can't do is you can't have an edge over the house, right? So like sometimes, like you said, Carlos, the obvious bet is, hey, if I just bet on red and black, I'm going to be able to get double my money, right? If I put it on red, and it hits red, I double my money. If I put it in black and I put my money on black, I double my money. The point is, it's probably better to just put your money on one of the numbers and get a much bigger return
35 to 1
over time, or 35 to 1, right? Mm-hmm. So the chances are you're risking a little bit to get a lot, right? In investing, unlike the roulette table where you're basically relying on chance, you can actually have multiple bets out there. And if you're willing to do the educated guessing, you don't have to have like every one of your stocks be an absolute winner. You can have, out of 5 companies, if one 10x's, you already made up for the other 4 losses and then some, right? So
to use that analogy, betting on the outside, like the outside bets, the odds and evens, the red and blacks, that's your index funds, right?
Yeah.
And then you can bet on, and then there's other levels of risk on a roulette table that go down to like the individual stock, the 35 to 1, or the home run of like the, the double zeros or the zeros.
I like that these guys are trying to rationalize their fucking gambling habits.
So the thing is, but it also means that you can't.
That's what we're thinking about at the table. You're like, oh, I'm really learning what right now.
The index funds are black and red. Okay.
The other thing is blackjack has also been a big teacher of mine as well when it comes to how to invest in companies. When you're looking at times where, when they say like when it's time to be bullish, people usually start to sell, and when it's time to be bearish, people start to buy. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. Like in blackjack, if you see that the total number of number cards has come out already, you can do the counting cards in your head and be like, okay, the next numbers that are coming out are going to be face cards, which means that now you have a much higher disproportionate chance of actually beating the house.
Yeah, but you can't do that. You can't do that because they use 6 decks in Vegas, and then they make
I'm just saying that's the whole general concept. But when you're investing in stocks, it's very similar. So when you see companies that are beaten down, right, like Meta was, you can see that a lot of the stuff that's happened already, all the number cards have already gone down. So now you have a much higher chance of going higher because you have face cards that are going to be coming out. So if you apply some of the stuff that you learn in Vegas, it ends up like another thing is getting out of the casino. Sometimes I'm like that. Like, hey, listen, I am tired. I think that's run up so much. The hardest part about Vegas is getting out of the casino because too many people, they're up so much money in Vegas, and then they think that, hey, it's just going to be one more bet, one more thing, and they never get out, and they eventually lose everything. So to me, it's like being in a company, if you have a really big winning streak and it's doing really well, but it's gone over the threshold limit, you should take some off the top.
What's the most amount either of you have won or lost in Vegas?
My wife won, I think, like $2,000-3,000 on a slot machine. Like me and her now, we play slot machines. We love slot machines. Okay. I actually have the video of that too. Yeah.
Carlos,
did you get? Well, I mean, I won that $3,200 bet.
6,200 he lost, 3,200 he won.
No one's ever won like 30 grand or something in Vegas.
No. I mean, not in one shot.
shot.
Yeah, I've been up like 10 grand or something like that, like after like a night. But you have to understand, at some point too, when I went to Vegas, it was like work. Like I would go there on a weekend and be like, the goal here is to make money. It's not to party. You know what I mean? It's just to make money, like to play certain game. Like I spent a lot of time in Caesars. I just knew Caesars. I knew the what you call it, the tables there. I knew the pit bosses there. Like I got that tier that I was talking about. So I became a regular at Caesars. I was also a regular at like New York, and I would just go to those places to hang out. And I started to know those people, know those tables, and I started making pretty good money. I think that was one year. It was probably maybe 2013, 2014. I was doing really well in those years. And also I wasn't paying for anything. Everything was comp for like 2 years, just from what we did over that course of that one, like Christmas, New Year's Eve, my brother and I. I mean, I'm not saying everybody should do that. You have to have the money to do it. But if you do that, it does make Vegas a lot of fun, because you just get emails I forgot what it's called, that tier that you get. And basically they just, everything that happens in Vegas, you get free tickets to, you know, and you have a free room. So all you got to do is just get there. And if you live close, like in LA, you just drive a couple hours and Vegas becomes a cool place to hang out for a weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question, since we're talking about
I was going to end the pod there, but okay.
betting and gambling and whatnot. Okay. So tomorrow you wake up, all right, and your entire portfolio, everything is liquidated and it's all sitting in cash. Okay. And like a genie comes to you and says, you can only make one investment right now, and you have to sell it 10 years from today. It's going to get sold no matter what. June 11th and 2033, it's getting sold. What do you put it in?
You already know my answer. We already know what we're doing. I already know what we're
Not
doing.
necessarily. It could be, you know, I don't know.
Wait, can you pick a stock or?
Yeah, I mean, well, let's take real estate off the table, because I think that's like the smart move. That would be like the easy answer. But no, right? But even, you know, a stock or crypto. Like, I'm just curious.
I would pick Palantir.
You would, okay, so you would take your entire portfolio, liquidate it.
I had to
look at it. Yes, you had to, and you cannot look at it for 10 years. And no matter what the price is on June 11th, 2033, it's sold.
Look, theoretically, I should probably pick Tesla, just given it's likely to be better, but I would want to pick Palantir. My heart would pick Palantir. My brain would pick Tesla. So.
But you would probably put it in Palantir. No, but listen, that's fine. But here's the thing. If anyone thinks your YouTube channel is full of shit, you're doing it for clicks, that says right there that this dude is mostly in.
Like, I want a 10x in 10 years. Do I think Palantir could be a $300 billion company versus Tesla
it could be. No, it will.
Now, Tesla probably will get to 7 trillion, but 7 trillion I've never heard of. 300 billion has been done many, many times. And so,
well, I mean, keeping with the theme of all in, right? What would you go all in?
Hey, Chris, how about you? What would you pick?
You're gonna get. This is gonna sound bad, but SoFi.
I'm not surprised he said
It's a
that.
good answer too. It's a fucking great answer.
It's not, yeah, he's going to sell out next year.
It's a $7 billion company, Vitaly. It's a great answer.
So, okay, you would
It's a fucking bank, dude. It's a bank. It's a bank.
Oh boy! Wow.
Okay, Vitaly and Carlos, we know you would say either Tesla and Enphase. So do something besides Tesla or Enphase.
Well, I'd pick Enphase, but if I wasn't allowed to pick that, I would just go and
you would everything available to you on the table. You would say Enphase.
Yeah,
all in.
It'd just be the easiest triple minimum. But if, let's say, I wasn't allowed to do that, I would say just go to QQQ and leave it. It's going to do fine.
You would put it in the Qs, really?
That's right.
You think you're gonna get?
That's the smart move. That's the smart move. It's
no,
not
but
a 10x.
If I can't do like my two favorites, let's say I'm not allowed to, I would just pick.
No, but the ethos of Carlos's question is not a safe question. It's like you got to go all in, and you got to try to hit.
I'm going all in,
but it's going all in. It's going all in, but it's saying that the sale is happening no matter what. So there is a matter of safety there, where you have to know that like it's gonna get sold on June 11th, 2033.
If ARM was IPO'd right now, I'd probably say ARM. I'd probably put it in ARM. Yeah.
Okay, Carlos, what are you picking to end out the pod?
I'm doing some math right now. Hold on.
He's like Bitcoin or Tesla? Bitcoin or Tesla?
Oh man.
Or Enovix. Johnny, we know is the Enovix. A lot of people are saying Palantir. We got Truist, of course. No, I wouldn't pick Truist.
No, I wouldn't pick Truist.
It might do well for 10 years. It might do.
I don't think I want to hold it for longer than a year. So
honestly, okay, based on
$100,000.
Wow. Oh no, but it's my entire. The thing is, it's my entire portfolio. So, if it's my entire portfolio, 100% Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, because the amount of money that would come into my Bitcoin position would be. Yeah,
I'm surprised no one's saying Amazon. That's a good one.
Interesting.
Amazon is a
No,
great
but
choice.
That's a smart one. Amazon's
That's
going
a
to
good
still
one,
be
too.
around in 2033.
What
Someone
about,
got
it's,
Neo,
what about
though. I hope
SpaceX?
no one fucking puts
SpaceX.
Neo.
But no, that you can't. I mean, we're not talking about companies that have an IPO yet. But I'm just looking back
But
at
see,
the
that's
comments now. What do people say?
that's one of the
Palantir.
that's
People
one of the
got
things that
Palantir.
I'm really looking
Robinhood.
forward to. Is
Apple,
new crop
Arbor.
of IPOs that are coming
I
in
don't
are
know
going to
if
be some
SpaceX could
strong
be the
companies.
best one though, because that space commercialization has to happen in the next 10 years, and I'm sure it'll be a very successful company. I just don't know if in the next 10 years it's gonna have a ton of.
No, but think about it this way. I think part of the reason why people are so bullish on SpaceX is because they're not just talking about like taking people to space and into like the space station.
Yeah.
If just for a second now, if they actually achieve the reusability of starships and that starships can go up and down in the course of a day, 45 minutes, say around the world. What that does, like we were talking earlier, the disruption to logistics. I mean, FedEx is DHL; they're gone. I mean, you can move 100 metric tons from the United States to Singapore in 45 minutes, which now is a 12-hour flight.
Well, I think you're forgetting about. Okay, you're talking like way future, and this has to sell. If anything, I'd say SpaceX because of Starlink, because that's going to be a massive hit, and I would want a piece of that.
Yeah, Starlink is a big piece of that, but I think I'm just saying, like the reason why SpaceX could be this massive company is that it could disrupt the world logistics. It's not about necessarily just moving people around. Part of it is to say this is the fastest.
No, but it has to happen by by a certain date, so you can't bet on that happening.
Is end-to-end transport happening in 10 years? That's
because what he's saying is if they could get it to the point where starships what do they say, 6 launches per day? I think 6 launches per day, or let's say 3 per day. The price of a launch would be what, say $10 million, which is ridiculous to think about.
I'm more bullish on the Starlink aspect, because Starlink is like super scalable. All you got to do is just hook up multiple people with satellites, and now you've got downstream income coming in. And what's your total cost to operate the whole network? It's just the satellites that are in the air plus your uplinks down
also
on the ground,
Starlink,
your ground stations.
Also with Starlink, as you increase capacity, you basically can license space on it,
and
right? Like
think about
what do you think? What do you think
yeah.
Tesla's FSD will run on? Right, like a global network that's connecting the cars, like or other companies can license space or bandwidth on it.
Rango's right, bro. 10 years is short term for SpaceX. I would never bet on that.
Yeah,
not in 10 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean,
I think we're really. I think thanks to AI, the level of innovation that's going to happen, I think, is going to be 5 times faster than ever before. I think.
Say that again.
So because of AI, I think the development around software, development around like new products, development around drug discovery is going to exponentially go faster and faster rather than slower. Like before, one of the things that you needed for knowledge work is you actually need to have a lot of base knowledge to do your job and X, Y, and Z. And now with AI, you can actually incorporate a lot of those learning aspects into your business operations and actually go much, much faster. So I think the conversation was innovation before took 6 months, now takes 60 days. And now because of AI, it takes 6 days. So there's an exponential increase in the number of productivity that you can get out of. Like imagine before, like let's say 20 years ago, you wanted to make a AAA title video game. Right? How many designers, how many people do you need? How many programmers do you need to get that off the ground? Versus, let's say today, with an AI engine like Unity in the backing and everything that the graphics person could do, one person could do the job of probably 10. Right? So I think that's where we're probably headed.
Okay. Gonna end the pod there. Didn't ring the bell, but we had 600 people pretty much all night. So thank you.
Oh wow! Do you ever forget? Do you ever forget that people are watching?
He forgets.
You ever forget? Because sometimes we do a Zoom where it's just us. Do you ever? I totally forgot that people. I mean,
I didn't say anything the whole night, but it was about 6:15 the whole night. Went to 590, but that was the range. So thank you guys so much for joining on and starting your week with us.
Did we even talk about stocks or gambling? I forgot.
The whole episode was gambling.
Mostly gambling, guys. You've learned nothing, and go to the casinos. Enjoy.
Nothing. But tomorrow's gonna be fun. We'll talk to Farzad. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Carlos and Vitaly are going to help moderate that discussion and really lead it because they're going to know where to take it. So
I got a lot of questions for that dude.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be a fun one. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Futures are green. Let's see what Mr. Market does tomorrow, what the Fed does this week.
Regional banks, baby. Let's go. All day, every day. Regional banks are coming back.
Tomorrow, I want you to bring that up with Farzad. Regional banking.
He would have laughed at how many shares I had of Tesla anyway, even like, oh, 20 shares. It doesn't matter too much. But maybe he'll take it.
It's a start, you know?
It's a
Yo,
start.
regional banks, that's where you want to be. That's where everyone is going, son. Bury me and Amit. We are going hard. Futt
And
Bucker is also
Buffett.
in it with us.
And
And Futt
Buffett.
Bucker. In Futt Bucker, I trust.
Well, that's a good foursome. All
All
right,
right.
guys.
That's it. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 p.m. with
Later.
Farzad. Bye, everybody.
Fuck the Bucks.
Okay.